And Twitch, they're coming online. Coming online. We're getting there. Got a little bit of delay. It's it's Monday. We got a lot going on today. We're going to see the cyber news of the day, how it impacts you, why you should care. It's a great day. It's a Monday. Let's get the streams online. We have about 30 seconds before we go live. What is going on in your world out there? What's new? What's the week ahead hold? What are we looking at? We got our Illy coffee and our Deadpool cup. We got the Deadpool shirt, so it's got all that. Got to keep going forward, push forward, clean things out, make sure people are out there doing what they should to be secure. We've got ways to go, man. We got a ways to go to get people secure. We got to secure people, and that's the name of the game. We're security people. We got to look at the news of the day. We got to see how it impacts us. We got to see how we can make ourselves better, how we can help our friends and families and coworkers be secure in the cyber world. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. We're looking at what Google's doing. Google's trying to knock down attacks on social media platforms. That we know that's out there. We know that nation states are out there. They're coming at us every day. We need to know how to slow them down, how to share with our friends, families, and coworkers what to look for in these things. And we'll talk about what Google is doing to protect us as well. DNC is issuing a warning about using TikTok, and Mozilla is talking about cutting the TLS time in half. So join us after the brief intro. We'll come back and we're going to do an unboxing of a drive adapter that may help you move your data off of those old drives. Welcome back. Welcome this morning. Google is in the news. You guys probably already know this. You know there's people out there trying to disrupt what's going on in the United States and what's going on in major countries around the world. We know it's happening. We know half of the stuff we see on social media is either 100% untrue or biased in one way or another. We have to unpack why people are doing that. Why is that happening? Why are people trying to incite this unrest all over the place? Not just the United States. This is going on everywhere. And the article this morning, as always, the articles are in the show notes below. But this is what Google's doing. Google's got a threat analysis group, or what they call the TAG, and it keeps track of things. So in the article they talk about, and this is really focused on Australia, but it's global, right? This is a global thing. We know nation states are building these groups of people, these groups of bots that are developing social media campaigns that are trying to disrupt things, whether that's disrupting things politically or disrupting things ideologically, or just disrupting communication flows. And we see it all over the place. But Google has this tag, or this threat analysis group, and they're always looking at content that's coming across the Google platforms, like this one, like YouTube, like Google Search, like any of the platforms that Google owns. And TAG says on any given day, they're tracking more than 270 targeted or government-backed attacker groups from more than 50 countries. He says the number continues to rise. He said just in April, they sent 1,755 warnings to users whose accounts were targeted by government-backed attacks. And they're saying these are coming from all over the place. These are coming from North Korea, they're coming from Israel, they're coming from Egypt. They're large campaigns, they're targeted, they're going after specific things. And the funny things about this, and I guess the good things about this is Google is trying to protect how their algorithm is detecting things. So they're not notifying people immediately that this is going out. They're doing batched releases, so that it's kind of a timed release that comes out at the same time every time. So the attackers really don't know when Google has detected them, so it makes it a little harder to defeat that detection. So it's smart to do, right? We talk a lot about on Cup of Cyber. We talk a lot about the way the phishers the social engineers are using this COVID-19 situation we're in to push phishing campaigns forward using things like, hey, you've been exposed to COVID-19 or tracking things or something like that. Google said they've detected 18 million malware and phishing Gmail messages every day related to COVID-19. And then there's another 240 million COVID-related spam messages. So it's spam, it's phishing, and again, this is why we, as the security folks, as the risk folks, as the cyber folks, need to let our friends know. Keep them on their toes, keep them informed about this stuff. We are those folks they turn to for advice. So we have to be able to let them know. The tag group goes on to say our machine learning models have evolved to understand and filter these threats, and we continue to block more than 99.9% of spam, phishing, and malware from reaching our users. And obviously that's if you're using something like Gmail or one of the platforms like that. The tag has specifically identified over a dozen government-backed attacker groups using COVID-19 themes to lure phishing and malware attempts to try to get the users to click on malicious links and download files, including in Australia, it added. And good morning, Mike. Every disaster brings forth massive fraud schemes. I don't know. I'm not shocked. Folks still don't get it. Holidays are another time. Yeah, holidays, taxes. And we got both those coming up. We just went through, obviously, the 4th of July. Coming up here in about 6 weeks is Labor Day, and tax day is Wednesday. Massive, you're exactly right, Mike. Massive times for these spams to come out. I expect, Wednesday, when we talk Wednesday morning, I expect Wednesday or Thursday we're going to talk about phishing and phishing schemes centered around taxes. Extra vigilant on what you click. And I think, the funny thing is the folks that are getting up at 7:30 in the morning to listen to me talk about this stuff and to read these things at any time of the day or to check this stream out later in the day, you guys get it. When you see that weird email come across that, just seems off. Or you just don't, you don't know where it came from. You're not going to click the link. You follow all the best practices, but your friends, I know every one of you knows that person that sends you the messages thinking, hey, did you know they were extending tax day, or did you know there's a new form out? Here, I'm going to send you the new form that's going to get you, tax exempt from your COVID, $1,200 or whatever. There's always going to be some weird scheme wrapped around this stuff. And the attackers are good. You're right, Mike. They keep coming at us. They keep getting better. All we can do, we have friends and families we need to take care of. That's probably, our first line. We go to work, and hopefully at work we've got some of these defenses put in place. We've got some protections in place at work. And if not, we need to push to drive that stuff forward. We need to drive the protection forward. So, we see all of this junk, whether it's nation state backed or backed by malicious groups for one reason or another. We see them trying to do two things. That's what Google's pointing out here. So there's two main things that Google's pointing out in this attack, or this article. The attacks are coming from nation states, and the nation states are really pushing social media campaigns forward. And the one thing that the Google tag folks are doing, they're saying, okay, if these people are talking, and again, this is focused on Australia, but again, that's just the article. They do this thing globally. If they see that the article that is being pushed on social media is about Canberra, Australia, but the users coming out of Eastern Europe, that throws a red flag. That's their logarithm, picks up things like that and says, hey, this is a little fishy. But one of the things they say, it's really hard to do. It's hard to filter out what is real and what is this nation state sponsored attacks on people. And that's really why we need the human interface, the human people to get in there and say, does this really sound right? And we see it a lot. We see a lot with what's going on socially today, what's going on in our society. We see what's going on politically. We see there are groups of people that will inject social media articles or content into the stream there's extremely one side or the other just to get people riled up, to help split split us apart. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to split us apart. And this is nation states. Nation states are big on this. They're going to want to split and cause dissension in the country. That's what they want. I think one of the old Russians, Brezhnev, or one of the old premiers of the Soviet Union, one of his famous quotes, I'll have to look it up today, but was, we'll hang the West with the rope they sell us. And that was when the Soviet Union was around, obviously. And that, we still see that mentality. So now we've built these great social media platforms. We built these platforms where people can get together and talk and reconnect and share news. And even in disaster, Facebook works great in disasters to let people know what's going on. But it's got a double-edged sword. It can also be used to drive these campaigns forward. So we have to be the ones out there to not let these countries, these nation states that don't like our ideology or our government, our view on freedom. We've got to not let them use the rope, in this case, something like social media, like Facebook and YouTube and these other things, to hang us. We can't let them get in there and disturb, what those platforms were built for. So Google's doing their part. They're trying to take care of it on the platforms that they control. Google Search, Google News, obviously YouTube. It's one of the things, but then we have to do our part to try to help them clean these things up. Obviously, if they can. So the two things. The other thing was obviously the phishing campaigns, and they're doing a lot to stop that on Gmail. So phishing is phishing. They're trying to get you to click a link. They're trying to install malware on your computer. That's the bad juju they're trying to get to. So we got to help with that. The social media thing, we've got to, when you read something on the social media platforms, and there's a ton of them out there. Obviously, Facebook is huge. YouTube's huge. Instagram's huge. When we read these articles, we need to look at them with a bit of suspicion. And we need to pass that on to our friends, our family, our coworkers. When you see it on Facebook, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, right? There's a lot of good stuff going on in social media, but there's a lot of just dissension, people trying to cause disruption for one reason or another. So this is a good article. It's got a lot of good information in it. It talks about what's going on. We need to know, as security folks, we need to know what we can do. We need to educate people, not just our users at work. We need to educate our friends at home, educate our family. When we see people sharing these stories that are obviously not true, we need to try to say something. And sometimes talking to some people can be hard because they don't want to hear it. They believe because it's on Facebook, and I'm using Facebook example. It could be any of the social media platform. They believe in when they see this stuff there, it's 100% true. We've got to make sure that we're telling them, this is. Let's really think about this critically. Critical thinking is important in these social media platforms because it's so easy to read it and believe it's totally true, or even share it without looking into it and realizing what's going on. And that's what hopefully these folks like Google are helping get us along, get us moving forward. The why, man. TikTok's also in the news, and if TikTok is another social media platform. I guess it's maybe the theme of the day is social media. That's what's going on Monday, social media. TikTok is massively huge. It really is. According to this article by Cyberscoop, it's been downloaded 2 billion times worldwide. And it's like 165 million times in the U.S. alone. But 2 billion times it's been downloaded. And it's a distraction. It's a social media distraction. It's short videos. They're usually humorous, or they're insightful or inspiring or whatever. They're one of those time filler apps. It's a time filler app. It kind of brings you in, and you get sucked into watching the next video and the next video and the next video. The DNC is warning their folks. They're warning their folks in the Democratic National Committee. Their officials have been warning about TikTok for months. It's backed by. It's a Chinese app. We believe it's backed by the Chinese government. It's dancing ByteDance, I think. ByteDance owns it, or Yeah, ByteDance owns it, and they're worried about sharing that data that it collects about its users, sharing that back with the Chinese government, and that's the big thing. Um, yeah, yeah. Chinese subversion technology for unwary users. Yeah, that is exactly it. And really, we're looking at what China's done with it, and then the big thing is what the we. Hey, let's face it. We know that data is going back to China. User data is going back to China. It's going back to Chinese government. Um, it's really no different than Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. But the data from Facebook and YouTube is going back to Facebook and YouTube. TikTok is specifically pulling data and sending back to the Chinese government. Um, they claim they're not doing it. The ByteDance folks deny any wrongdoing. They say they're going to use servers in the United States to host U.S. users' data, but they've already been caught sending that data back to Chinese servers. So, the data is being collected. The data is being sent back to China. We need to know, as we know, it's social media. It's a social media day. Whatever platform you're using, if you're using YouTube, if you're using Facebook, if you're using Instagram, if you're using this TikTok, there's some level of data that's being collected about you, and it's being sent back to those organizations. TikTok is no different in that aspect. The problem is it's run by the Chinese government. It's controlled by the Chinese government, and that data goes back to the Chinese government. So the intention of something like Facebook, when they gather your information, they want to use it for targeted advertising, is one thing. That's bad. That's bad enough. That's the cost of admittance to using Facebook. TikTok, on the other hand, that data is going back to the Chinese government for analysis and review to see how it can be used politically against us, or worse than that, possibly militarily against us. So, should they want to subvert things, like Mike said, they've got a lot of data coming back to them. They've got a lot of data that could be used, and it can be used also in a political campaign for something like the elections coming up. Gathering user data, gathering user sentiment, trying to figure out what people are thinking, trying to figure out what trends are going on that they could then take, they being, ByteDance, or the folks that back them, they could use that information about what's trending to build social media attack campaigns against whichever political side they want to go after. They're denying. Of course, they're going to deny wrongdoing. That's the standard line is deny, deny, deny. So DNC is saying if you want to use TikTok, get a second phone. That's as far as they went that far to say, get a second phone. They're worried about obviously intrusions into what their plans are for the election. We've seen it at other places too. The Pentagon has told military personnel not to use TikTok. I know that military personnel are still using TikTok. I don't know what their stance is. I know that it's really hard to enforce social media rules. Probably the military is the easiest place they can do it. So, when you're in the military, when you're a soldier, sailor, airman, a Marine, 24/7, you belong to the government. So you can't, if you're on TikTok and they say not to be on TikTok and you get caught, you're going to be in trouble. But other organizations can't do that. Amazon, for example, sent out a memo saying, don't use TikTok, and then they almost immediately had to deny that, saying, "Oh, we sent that on error. We didn't mean to do that. We're not barring people from using TikTok." And the U.S. government itself is doing a national security review of ByteDance acquisition of social media app Music.ly. We got to watch out where this data is going. We got to watch out what we're sharing with these different social media platforms. A lot of times when you download the app, and the new version of iOS is going to get better. iOS has been terrible about this in the past because it didn't really tell you easily what data is being shared. Android's been pretty good about, when you download an app, you install it, it's going to say, here's all the data you're sharing. iOS has been a little harder to find out that information, but in the next version, I think it's 14, that comes out in the fall, it's going to be very clear what data is being shared with these app developers, these developers of applications. So yeah, why do people want to do this? Why does ByteDance want to do this? Why do they want to gather your information? Well, it's to determine the trends. It's to determine what people are thinking, and it's going to be determine where people are going, and just figure out what your patterns are. Your patterns of what political leanings do you have? What do you do with your spare time? What types of TikTok videos are you watching? And then they can again turn that against us. They can use it against us to do nefarious things if they want to. And I'm not, obviously this is a possibility. But no one's said that China or TikTok is directly using this as attack material or attack research. But they're definitely they're gathering information. They've been caught sending it back to China. Even if they gather it in the United States, they analyze the United States. I don't know if that makes a difference, whether they're doing analysis here, doing analysis back in China. I don't know what bit of difference that makes, whether the server's here or the server's there. So again, our job as those security folks, the risk folks, the cyber folks, talk to your friends. If they're using TikTok, I know a ton of people are using it. I see it all over the place. It's a distraction. It's a tool of distraction, and that's going to come back to something I want to talk about a little later. Is these tools for distraction, because it does. It's got that continuous scroll. Once you watch one thing, it leads another and another and another and another, and you get into this distraction loop, and that's more to come on that. Mozilla is also in the news for what I think is a good thing. Mozilla's went forward to the certificate authorities, and they've said that the time of TLS is just too long. A couple things. Let me get Mike's comment on TikTok before we go out. Yeah, the Vine of 2020. Vine was, I don't remember who owned Vine though. It's very, very similar to Vine. Actually, I don't know what really is different between it and Vine, other than it's got a lot of attention. It's got a lot of people using it. I think more than Vine. And Alex, good morning, Alex. It's good to see you. So is there a U.S. app that can be promoted instead of TikTok in the article offering? No, I offering alternatives. So Alex is asking, is there an app that is based in the United States that can offer alternatives, helps advocacy not to use the product? I don't know of one, and I don't know all the social media platforms. I know the big ones, and I know there's a ton of them out there. I don't know. I think Vine was U.S. based. I think it was, but it didn't have the traction TikTok has. TikTok's captured a lot of things we've known for a long time now. Attention span is a lot shorter. It uses catchy music. It uses the same. It's funny. It uses the same music clips for a lot of different videos. So if you hear certain songs now, we can relate them to TikTok. I don't know of an alternative. I mean, Facebook, Instagram are big. Periscope came out for a while. Periscope was kind of the same, I think, but Periscope looks like it's kind of went away. To me, YouTube is a more feature-rich application than this TikTok. The big thing about TikTok is it's just, and I probably get the right image up there. It's so easy just to click the app, click the little app, and just get distracted a couple minutes, and then a couple minutes turns into 15 or an hour or whatever. Just watching these little silly videos, and they're little silly distractor videos. There are a few out there that are on content, like how to do different things, but most of them are just little random distractors to just distract people. I don't know, Alex. Have you heard? Mike, Alex, any of the folks out there? Have you heard of alternatives to TikTok that are based in the U.S. or based in, a more friendly country? Australia, England, anywhere. I don't know. We'll come back to that. Let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to that because I want to get back to that distractor, just that theme of distraction anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about Mozilla for a minute. Mozilla is pushing to change the lifespan of a TLS certificate. And right now, the maximum lifespan is 200. Lifespan is 825 days or 27 months about. And their point is correct. Their point's accurate. It's like, that's a long time to have a certificate out there. There's a lot of things that can happen in 27 months. They really want to, they're pushing to have the, and this is the requirement from the CA/browser forum, and that's a proposal to them. And they want to change it to 398 days. I don't know why they came up with that number. 365 would seem logical to change it just to a year. They're going to vote on this on September 1st. Mozilla's doing it anyways. They're changing their rule to be just 398 days. Maybe you guys know why 398 is the day. I would have thought 365. They say anything over a year, it increases the time, the chance of collision. It increases the chance of compromise. And one of the big points they make in this article, and who's this guy? This article by Decipher. And again, it's in the show notes below. One of the great points they make in this is that when the underlying logarithm becomes compromised or has increased chance of collisions, and the points they point out in both SHA-1 and MD5, if you're running certificates with those and you have this 27-month lifespan of your certificate, and let's face it, most people aren't going to change their certificate until they have to. They're just not going to do it because it's yet another task they have to do. But when we have these long, like 27-month windows, when that logarithm goes bad for hashing or for certificate generation, people aren't going to change it until that time is up. So we have a longer time when we're having people out there with these bad logarithms, bad encryption logarithms. And that's one of the things they point out that was really salient. It made a lot of sense. Is if we have this long window and something, let's say I just create a certificate and I'm using it for hashing and for encryption on my site, and then the next day they realize MD5 is bad. Now I've got over 2 years this bad certificate is going to be out there before I change it, because, face it, normal users aren't going to change their certificate unless they have to. A forward-looking organization would say, "Oh wow, we realized MD5 is bad, and we know our certificates are built on MD5. Let's go change them." But that's the 1%, right? That's not everyone. So, obviously, the longer we have any type of encryption, the longer we have it out there, the more chance of compromise there is. So, 27 months, a long time. Mozilla says even if the CA browser forum doesn't change it to a little over a year, Mozilla is going to change it. The Firefox is going to change to having a shorter certificate lifespan. So I think it's important. We think about this, that why it's important is that encryption is in place to do a bunch of things. It's to validate the site you're talking to. If you're talking web, because we're talking Mozilla here, so we're talking about web traffic. If we're going to a site, that certificate is something that's going to prove to us that I'm actually going to Google. And if it's been compromised, someone else can set up, G00LE, but I'm sure Google's got that protected by now. But they can set up another site and they can pretend to be Google, and they can use that fraudulent certificate to prove that they're Google when they're not. So obviously this is a protection. It's also used for hashing, right, to validate that files are going back and forth are the correct files, they haven't been altered, and the encryption itself, the encryption of the channel. So there's a lot of things these certificates do. They're important. I think it's important to say, let's protect our encryption mechanisms. And we all know this rule, as computing power gets faster, the ability to break encryption becomes quicker. I won't say it's going to become easier, but it does become faster. And we see this with the ability to break passwords faster now. eight character passwords, and that someone with a good um, password cracking machine is going to break an eight character password fairly quickly, especially the easier ones. Um, so we see the same thing. Certificates obviously are much, much bigger. Um, Logarithms much bigger. Key strings. But as computing power gets faster, as it gets bigger, we need to react to. And I think that's a good sign for Mozilla to jump in there and say, this doesn't make sense to have these certificates good for this long or these valid for this long. So the article saying currently the policy allows for a maximum lifespan of 825 days or about 27 months. A lot can change in that amount of time. That's one of the main reasons Mozilla and other companies are supporting the change. TLS certificates serve several purposes, including the enablement of encrypted sessions between clients and site, as well as proving the site is what it says it is. So it's, if we're trying to, again, we tie it back to phishing, we tie it back to the other things. If, I can get a site out there and I can get you to go to it and click on my malicious content, it's a lot easier for that outbound connection from a site to get through than trying to push malicious code in. There's a bunch of people in favor of this. Apple, Cisco, Microsoft, Google, and of course Mozilla, who are proposing it. They want to reduce it to 398. And I don't know if there's a mathematical reason why 398 is used instead of just 365 to make it a year. To me, I'm always thinking about what we have to try to make this easy for our end user. A lot of times our end users, the folks in IT, if we tell them every year, maybe that's a little cushion after 365. Maybe we say, we rotate every 365, and then the 398 is that cushion after it's due. We know not everyone gets their stuff done on time. I don't know. Not sure why 398 is the number they're using, but they want to go to just a little over a year. So that's the rundown. There was one more story. It was more. I forget what the other one was. Grab it over here. The other one, oh yeah, a major cyber attack would be worse than COVID-19. A lot of times I put the stories together, get the streams ready to go, grab the little icons for this stuff, our little graphics, and then I go review the stories before we talk in the morning. This one, they got me on this one. It was AFR.com. It was one of those. It was clickbaity, right? It was the major cyber attack would be worse than COVID-19. Obviously, we know this could be true. But it's one of the things. If you click on that first link, and I couldn't put it out, I couldn't take it out of there because I'm using Restream. I wouldn't even mess with that first article. It's going to give you about 6 sentences, and then they want you to subscribe to their news service. So I'm sorry. I apologize up front for putting that one out there. We can talk about the topic. Obviously, a major cyber attack would be definitely worse than COVID-19 because so many infrastructure, so much of our infrastructure in the West especially, runs on these IT platforms, from water treatment to news distribution to signaling of traffic, and including rail, freight, oceanic, waterway, highways. Major cyber attack. I'm talking major cyber attack would definitely be worse than the COVID-19 that we've been going through. It would totally disrupt it. We saw a few years ago in the East Coast when the power grid got hammered a little bit and fell down a little bit on the East Coast. But I'm a big thing. I apologize for putting that article out there. I should have. I don't know if I'm going to keep using Restream. I know Alex is probably out there on Twitch. I think you're the only one watching on Twitch, so I might just stop using Restream. I like to be able to go out to the multiple platforms, but I don't think I couldn't. Once I realized this was kind of a clickbaity article, I couldn't take it off the notification just the way Restream works. So apologize to you guys for that. I do. I'm sorry, guys. Today, your holiday. Your holiday is the holiday for a lot of us. I'm not going to say everyone, but it is embrace your geekiness day. I threw an article out there. Got myself in the way. From Big Think Edge, Embrace your geekiness. Why you should embrace geekdom. I remember growing up, geek was a terrible thing. Revenge of the Nerds and geeks and that kind of stuff. For a long time, geeks have changed their the theory of what a geek is. I don't know. Like it or hate it, I know a lot of people still hate the term. I personally don't care. A lot of people embrace their geekiness. That's what today's all about. Embrace your inner geek day. Who would have thought, 30 years ago that, where we'd be with technology and with the need for people that would be, geeky. And I thank people for that. Way smarter than me. People way smarter than me out there that are doing great things that most people would call geeks. And we think about that, like when I grew up in the 80s, all the folks, say, on the financials in Wall Street were like traders. Now, if you look at the financial world, the people that do trading, they're quants. They're mathematical geniuses that can come up with these great calculations, these logarithms to calculate things. So that's the day of the day. Take it for what it's worth. We do have trivia night coming up Wednesday night, 7:00. Be there or be square, man. We got some stuff coming. We're gonna see who can reign supreme. Who's gonna be the person to win trivia night? 7:00 East Coast time. Runs for about an hour. It's a great time. Sit down, drink a beer. Test your cybersecurity, test your IT, test your technology knowledge. Mako and Emily have been putting the questions together for the last week. Got to see what they got going for you guys. I don't even know what's ahead of you guys. But bring that, I guess, I had a chance to go out this last week out to Montana, meet with some folks, talk about what small businesses are looking at, what small businesses are doing in the world of IT, what's going on out there. And it's funny for me, I'm around folks like you guys, around folks that know IT, that know a lot of this stuff, that are familiar with it. And I talked to one young gentleman who's got a business, and he's got a static website. It doesn't really change much at all. And he pays $400 a month for hosting and maintenance of a website. And I think this is fairly common, or else he wouldn't be paying that. So we went out, we checked his site out. It's a nice looking site. It looks good. I won't obviously give you the site or anything, but he's got this site, and it's well put together. It looks very good. And again, this guy's paying $4,800 a year for website maintenance and hosting. And it's a WordPress site. I looked at the underlying code for the site. I walked him through. I showed him where you could see, okay, here's the plugins they're using. Here's what they're using. And he was asking me, well, what would it take to run this? And again, if you guys have ever been around, this website development, the WordPress especially, we know there's definitely some security issues with WordPress. So I would question that to start with. It's a good platform because it's easy to use, and that's what I was going to say. For this guy, don't change from WordPress. It's a nice, easy platform, but let's sit down and let's talk with one of your people. I can show them exactly how to use this, probably the same tools that this web hosting company is using, web design company is using, and you can maintain it yourself. Things like WordPress and Elementor. I don't know if you guys know that, but just plugins they turn building a website into kind of like PowerPoint. And my bigger question to him was, how does he ensure that those plugins are being updated? How does he ensure that WordPress itself is being updated and maintained? How can he be assured that that site is being secured? And obviously, he's got his products out there. He doesn't have any type of online sales. He doesn't have any of that. It's all informational. It's all a contact form. It's all static pictures and information about what he does for a living, and what services he offers. So he doesn't have to worry about any of the things about payment card issues or using a payment processor. He's not doing any of that. He's got a site that people can go to, look at what he does, contact him for a quote, contact him for contacting, some, and to have his phone numbers and stuff on the internet. So I was amazed. I guess maybe I'm ignorant to this, and maybe you guys can share what your experience are with this. I was amazed this company was charging $400 a month for this service, for a WordPress site out there, and maybe that's the cost. I remember in the old days when they used to hand code websites, that probably was worthwhile. That was probably a good price, but I don't know now. So that's one thing. I just didn't. I worry that I get a little bit away from what's going on in IT and what's going on in kind of that real world. And that's why I want to talk to some folks away from like the DC area, away from these metropolitan areas where people are out there actually, doing this stuff, where they've got a small business. And we're talking about, small business in small town USA, right? Not DC, not Dallas, not Chicago, LA, not just smaller towns. What's going on out there? What's in these areas? And it's amazing to me that these things are out there. And I don't, we talked a lot about IT usability, the ability of people to get to the website, people to be able to look his information up. But in all the conversations I had, security never came up. And I'm sure that, a lot of these companies that are hosting this stuff probably have security built in, but I'm not sure. I don't know that this hosting company, this design company, what's their schedule for maintaining patches? What's their schedule for updating the plugins they're using, for updating the WordPress, for updating the underlying? Are they responsible for the underlying software? And talk about the OS and above. So really, does anybody have experience with that outside these major areas? What's going on in the smaller parts of America, the smaller towns? I'm not talking Mayberry here, obviously, but these smaller towns, there's a lot of people out there that the technology, the big town, big city, mentality of security is not pervasive, I don't think, out there. So one of the things I want to do is look at, how hard would it be to walk one of these companies through, building a small 5-page WordPress website and then maintaining it, walking them through. You've got to maintain it. Here's how you lock down your users, because we've got to have an administrator that can go in there. We've got to have editors that go in there and update things. How is that access control monitored? How is the patch management cycle? How do we know when new plugins have to be, when there's updates to plugins? How do we know when the application itself needs to be updated? And I think that's kind of eye-opening, and that's why one of the things I wanted to go do that for is go get away from these big tech centers of the country, where I usually, I spend time in Dallas or Chicago or out here in DC or, New Jersey and then New York. You go to those places, giant companies, big companies that have giant budgets for IT and security. Not all places are like that. And I'm sure, in all those regions, there's places, small business as well. So that's what I'm looking at, where is security hitting these small companies? And that's again, that ties in with our small office, home office build. And we've got the cable modem security part 1 recorded. I just need to go back through and edit it. A lot of that stuff's going to come out this week. The other thing that came up this week was this thought of distractors. And TikTok plays big into this distractor thing. And I think as IT folks, we may be a little more susceptible to distractors. And I'm not just talking TikTok, because I know a lot of you folks don't even have TikTok, or may not even know people that have TikTok. But there's the chance to get sucked down into these distraction holes, YouTube or Facebook or email sometimes. So I'm myself. I know that I get stuck behind a screen. I get stuck. Some of that's my own choosing, but stuck behind the screen for a lot of hours a day, and I don't necessarily plan the whole year out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So another thing I want to start doing, and this is talking to some of these folks out there, out in the West, I don't know, really Midwest, I guess it was West, Montana, Wyoming. I think we have the ability, the propensity to get stuck in what's coming at us right now. Right? You get to work, you log an email, and it's fires. It's fight those fires every single day. See, Mike, SMB, that's small business, right? Terrible lacking InfoSec implement for the most part. Most of the times, simply due to lack of knowledge or lack of funding. I agree. I agree. They just don't know. A lot of times, that's what we tie this stuff back at. They just don't know. We don't know. So I'm thinking about this year. I'm thinking about a year of living on purpose. Can I cut out a lot of these distractions? Can I cut out things and get more done? And I think I'm typical of most people in this field. You get to work, you log an email, you see what the fires are, you start putting fires out, and then before you know it, the end of the day is there, and you didn't accomplish much of what you wanted to do. So I'm looking for, if you guys have any good ideas on time management or planning. I know there's a lot of people in the good old days or the bad old days. A lot of people use paper planners, and a lot of paper planners are coming back now because they're tactile and you can bring them with you. But there's some apps that you can use as well. What do you use? What are your tips on staying productive and staying on target? How do you plan your year? Do you plan your year? Do you plan for things? And the other thing I think a lot of us get into is you sit behind the desk, you grab your cup of coffee, and for me personally, since my young Army days, I've definitely got out of shape. So I've got to get back into something because it's not healthy just to be behind the desk, behind the screen for this many hours, not doing anything. So part of my plan, I want to look at this thing. I want to look at, live at least a year on purpose. To have solid goals. Figure out what these distractors are in my life. And that's why I said TikTok is probably a perfect example of that. People go look at one video, and an hour later they're still on TikTok looking at that stream. And that's the same for Facebook and any of these things. So, I need second in command. So you guys probably already know this. I've got some folks that help me. I've got Mako and Emily that help me with some of the video stuff. I've got Jimmy that helps me with editing, obviously, and then I've got my lovely bride that helps with trivia night. Second in command would be nice to figure out how to keep things going. We definitely, as most of you guys know, we've got the production schedule we got out, and we just fell off that already, so we've got to get back on track with that. And just time management. That's the big thing. So I'm looking for your comments below. Throw me some comments below. What are you guys using for planning? What are you guys using for, what are you guys using to keep on track, to keep from getting distracted, from email taking over your day, from falling into these Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, if you're using it, holes of social media. And I think there's some value. There obviously some value in social media. I wouldn't be on a social media platform talking to you today if there wasn't some value in it. I think same thing with Facebook, and I think Alex out there on Twitch. I think that's the same thing. There's value in it. There's the ability to learn, like TikTok on my brain now. YouTube, if you want to learn something, you can go out to YouTube and find information on just about any topic you want. I want to learn Nmap. Go out on YouTube. You're going to find videos and videos and videos on how to use Nmap. So there's good in all of it. If you want to go into a group, like you want to learn something, there's a Facebook group for it to help people. That's the that's the good of it. The bad of it is, you go out there to check something out. Like I want to look on how to look at the different Nmap switches, and then the next one up is race cars, and then after that it's Hollywood stars. Mike's got a comment. For me, PT every other morning from 7 till I'm smoked. Log an email and keep everyone in your queue unless they really need to be bumped to the top of your list. No social media during work hours. That's an awesome idea. PT, I've got to get back on PT. I got out of the Army and just kind of boycotted PT. I got back on the horse a couple times with the PT, but I got to get in my day. Got to get PT back in the day. And if you work at I guess probably all the military uses it, physical training, PT. Good thing about the Army, whether you liked it or not, you were gonna do PT every just about almost every morning you're gonna do some PT. Um, so I think that's a good point. Yeah, PT helps. I mean, being in shape, and I don't mean bodybuilder shape. I just mean being healthy. Your mind works better. You're more prone to not getting sick. Those kind of things. Yeah. There you go, Mike. C-130 rolling down the strip. Yeah, you're definitely not jumping out of planes if you're not in decent shape. That's for sure. So that was my point. I just want to see what you guys do. Throw them in the comments below too. If you got a planner you use, there's a good system to use. I know I've been reading a lot about this bullet planning or bullet journal. They call it journaling. There's a lot of people that use it for things beyond planning. The bullet system, and I might go into that. I think bullet seems to be on the top of my list right now. So it's a book you do. You keep track of things in a book, which I do like to write things down a lot. But I know we're a little bit off target there, off of what we're usually talking in the morning. I think there's some really good things we can do. I think I'm gonna start another playlist on just this year of living on purpose. I want to get very focused this year, very focused on getting stuff done. I hope you guys want to do the same thing. I know a lot of you guys are trying to accomplish goals this year. A lot of people are trying just to share information. I know I look at Alex and Mike. Dennis is always usually on in the morning too. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything from Dennis. Share information. They share what they know. There's other people that do it too. Those are the big folks. Mike and Alex are always trying to help push the information forward. And I appreciate that. That's what we got to do. Help each other. In this case, I want to help each other. See what we can do to get this year to be a productive one. I'm saying right now. I'm saying right now on the 13th of July, not the first of the year, not one time promising to do it, on New Year's. I'm saying just take today and let's do it today. So I'm starting today. I'm gonna figure it out today. I'm gonna get my whole plan together. I'm gonna and I'll probably start a channel so you guys can not a channel but a playlist you want to follow along with that. I won't keep injecting it here because it doesn't belong here. I just wanted to get some of your insight because I know a lot of you guys probably are fighting the same fight. How do you stay on track? How do you if you wake, if you're sitting on the weekend, you say this week's the weekend, or this week's the week I'm going to go start walking, or I'm going to get back on the elliptical, or whatever. And does it happen, or is it you push it off for another week? So that's my question to you guys. How do you do it? How can you help? How can we help each other get back into a program where we're focused on what we're doing, and we can keep pushing forward? Because I think we got to do that. Because there's 168 hours in a week. We got to use them. You got to have the playtime too. So let's work all that in. But thanks. As I'm off target a little bit, that's okay. I obviously appreciate everything you guys are doing. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that button over there. Share with your friends if you want to. And as always, be safe out there. Mike's gonna say, I don't know, he's probably had to go to work already, but he's gonna say, go get some. Go get some today. Yeah, like the video if you can. But I appreciate you being here, and I will see you again tomorrow. An offline InfoSec support group? Offline, you mean totally offline? Or you mean like a Facebook group? Or what? That's interesting to talk about. Yeah, let's talk about that some more, Mike. I think it'd be interesting. Offline, I'm not sure what you mean totally offline, and definitely go get some. Go get some. But anyway, yeah, Mike, let's talk about that a little bit more. And everyone else, thanks for being here. Let's professional. Yeah, I'm totally game with that. Maybe you and I can talk about that, Mike. Maybe you can help me with that. Get things going. We need. That's kind of. I would love to do something where we mentor people too. And I know we're way off topic here, and people are probably dropping like crazy. But to me, it's important. Maybe it's some type of mentorship. So a lot of folks have been around for a while, and I'm not saying that I'm the catch all be all, but I'd like to share what I can with folks. So, anyways, hope you all have a good day. Let's follow Mike's advice. Let's go get some. Let's go do things today. Let's make it happen. And I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. Always good to see you guys. Always good to have the conversation. Always good to keep track of your friends, keep track of your family, keep track of your coworkers, help them be secure. and go get some.